So welcome to Nick Veasey's first solo show with us in London, Nick Veasey Forensic Beauty. And with me it's artist Nick Veasey, and let's chat with him. Hi Nick.
Hi Elsa.
How are you?
I'm great. Thank you for inviting me to show with you here in London in your new gallery.
Yeah. It's been a long time, right? 10 years.
Yeah, we've had a great ride, and let's keep it going.
Yeah, sure. So my first questions, we've been promoting you, representing you 10 years in Asia, and I think most people are very curious why you started, when and why you started using X-ray as image, because it's so dangerous, high radiate, and difficult.
I'd like to tell you it was a strategic master plan, but really I sort of stumbled across X-ray, or in some ways X-ray found me. And you're right, there are many hurdles and limitations to what you can do with it. It is dangerous. Obtaining the equipment is difficult. I have to have a license, a medical, the government come and check me out for radiation liquid. It's dangerous stuff. But my love really and my history is photography, and it's another avenue, a niche in photography, really.
Yeah, I think not many artists using X-ray to create their work, because it's really high entry barrier. And I realized you built your own X-ray chamber, and it must be quite something very. When we first saw I remember the land.
Yeah.
You say, "Oh, I'm going to build something," and and after 2 years, you really made it. And could you like to tell the story or the process?
Well, I'm sure everybody will associate X-ray with when they go to the dentist or maybe at the hospital, and even in those scenarios, the person taking the X-ray, the radiographer, will either go out of the room or go behind a screen while the X-ray is being taken. And then once you've got the image of your teeth or whatever, or your broken arm, it's then sort of safe for everybody to move into that area. So like every artist or photographer, I need to have a studio. So really my X-ray chamber is my studio. It's just that my studio is a lot more complicated to build than a normal studio, because it has to contain the radiation. Think of it like a sealed box. And I'm outside the sealed box when the X-rays are going on, and thankfully the radiation that I use doesn't contaminate the object that I'm X-raying. So you could potentially, if I was X-raying food, you could potentially eat it afterwards and survive. Whereas the nasty radiation, like what happened in Japan and Chernobyl in Russia and all that sort of stuff, that radiation is going on all the time. You cannot turn it off, which is why it's such an environmental disaster. Mine is not quite that serious, thankfully.
Mm-hmm. But you also won award for that?
Yeah, when I was first started out in X-ray, my previous life before working with X-ray was trying to establish myself as a commercial photographer. And to be honest, I wasn't very good, so I didn't really get there. I was doing photography, but I was supporting my income by doing other jobs on the side. I wasn't really earning enough just as photography. But once I got into X-ray, I knew I'd found like a scene that really interested me. And it's like the early days of photography in the darkroom, where you have this magic image coming from nothing. It's so exciting, and it still turns me on to this day. I've been doing it for, I don't know, 30 years plus now, but I still love it every day. I don't get the opportunity to shoot enough, really, because when you create complex X-rays, a lot of the time in creating the final image is towards the rear end of it, whereas my favourite part of it is the front end of it, is the X-ray part of it.
And X-ray, the process of you making art is quite interesting, because when you're filming it, you actually cannot see it. So depends on how much the X-ray, should I say, the dose or the radiation you use and the time you use, and you actually cannot see it. And how can you measure, like if my jacket, how do you suppose to how much you should work with?
Well, it's I guess like any job really, the more you do it, the better you get at it. And when I first started out and I tried to X-ray a jacket, actually clothes are one of the hardest things to X-ray, and I wasn't getting any results. So I was trying to work in reverse, trying to untangle it. And one of the strict rules in any photographic process really is when you change things, just change one thing at a time. Because if you change 3 things, you don't know what's affecting the result. Are they all affecting the result? Is it one of them, 2 of them, or all 3? You know. So it's just like a process of experimentation. And I've put the hours in, you know. Once I got access to the equipment, which was very difficult, but once I overcame those hurdles, I just kept trying different things. You know, you're limited with an X-ray, the exposure is the same size as the object. So if we X-ray this water bottle, the image on the film is the same size as the water bottle. Not a big problem because the film is bigger than the water bottle. But the car behind us is a lot bigger than the piece of film, which is about that big. So there are hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of separate X-rays in this car, all of which we do individually. We scan them and then we join them together. And then, as you said, the textiles, like the vinyl on the cover of the seat, is a separate exposure than the gearbox in the engine, which is really heavy. X-ray works on the density or the weight of the object. So I hope this isn't too technical and challenging for people to understand, but really it is a complex process. I can't make it simple because it isn't simple.
Mm-hmm. And over like 30 years, you've been in X-ray image, and you shoot from small like Coke can to like large airplane.
Yeah.
Is there something very unique to you and special to you to remember?
Well, obviously, like most creative people, I'm more interested in tomorrow than yesterday. So although I've done some very complex X-rays that I'm extremely proud of, that maybe will never be repeated again, I still want to push myself, I still want to make new things. And the great thing about being in this room surrounded by my work is it's like a line in the sand. This is me in 2023. I'm now thinking of next year and making new things.
Yeah, do you remember something really special or very difficult?
Yes. When you take on a project like X-raying a plane, and initially when I was asked to do it, I thought, well, it's just impossible. And then I sat down for 2 days, maybe 3 days, and it was nagging away in my head. It kept going over and over and over. Well, how did I make a plane? You know, once you've got that, you've got that. You don't need to do that wing and that wing. You can just flip that wing to get that wing. So I started breaking it down into more manageable components in this sort of jigsaw piece by piece process. I made a few calls, asked how the planes are manufactured, and luckily for me the planes are manufactured out of small lengths of aluminium or aluminum, wherever you come from. And yeah, so it became in my head more achievable. But really the big challenge for me when I want to do my large-scale X-rays is getting access to the thing I want to X-ray. And luckily I got access to a Boeing plane to X-ray. That was the crucial thing.
Yeah, is that a 737? Or
777.
777.
Yeah,
wow.
the ones with one engine. A 747, which they don't make anymore. They had 2 engines.
And how many films you have? Like
too many. Thousands.
Over 1,000?
Thousands, yeah.
Incredible work. Huge job.
Yeah.
And I remember when we first saw your work, it's the fingers. Would you like to talk about the fingers?
Yeah, well, you know, I don't think it's just about making something that's difficult to make. I think really when you make art, you want art to connect to people. And I haven't been to art school. I've been to university. I'm sort of self-taught. And I like some art that's ironic, that's fun, that's witty, that moves you, that makes you smile. So with my finger, it's my calling card really, and it's an international language. It doesn't matter where you're from, you get it.
And does it relate to Dr. Renji when you first found X-ray?
Well, when I first found...
His wife's finger?
Well, Röntgen famously X-rayed his wife's hand. I think it was attached to a radiator, and you can see the ring on her finger, and that was the first X-ray. So of course I relate to that. But the reason I did it was because when I was trying to get X-ray to access to X-ray equipment early on in my career, all the scientific and medical organisations that have this equipment said no, and they said impossible. So I'm saying you to them because I did it.
Amazing.
Yeah, and I think that's a good lesson for everybody. You know, if you really want to do it and the door is closed on you, try another door, keep banging on the doors, and eventually one will open and you can walk through. But,
I think this is the impression for me to work with you for 10 years, and you just won't quit and keep challenging yourself. And for this show, Forensic Beauty, when we first talked about it, and I said, oh, we will have a first show in London, and maybe you give us some British taste or something. And then I didn't expect this, but you brought up a whole new works, open up a new vision. So you want to talk about it?
Yeah, well, obviously I am British, and my work was influenced by my youth, but really for the last 10-15 years, because a lot of my collectors are American, I've been sort of influenced by American culture. So to step back from that and look at who I am, what I am and where I'm from was really interesting for me, because I'm British and I'm proud of it. I love it. I love this country. I'm here in London, the best city in the world, and I'm showing my work to my local community. So I have to say this is really important to me, this show. I've done some big shows in my career. I've been very fortunate, but nothing means as much to me as showing in London. So yeah, I've made some things about my life. Also, when you look at London now, it's a bit different to London when I was younger. So, you know, technology moves on, society moves on, and I'm not really that interested in doing something that's uber contemporary, but one of the images in the show is of a gamer, and when I first started out, a gamer was maybe someone playing tennis on a computer screen, beep 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 beep, or Pac-Man on a console. Now it's sort of you've got a PC, or even on a tablet, you've got access to realms and realms of amazing different worlds. Virtual reality is making a big impact on our society and stuff like that. So I'm just trying to sort of take all that in, and when I decide to make a picture, because it's so much work, it's not uncommon for one picture to take me 3 months. I have to be confident in my head that it's the right road to go down. Mm-hmm. Sometimes it is, sometimes it isn't. Hopefully we get more right than wrong.
So the last question is about the message, because you've shown us something beneath the surface, and for so many years you've working with normally people don't see. And what's your message to the audience?
Well, I'm not alone as being an artist that keeps working with the same medium or the same technique. Some of my heroes do that, but the message really is constant. The message is really, it's happiness comes from inside. You know, everybody's different on the outside, but on the inside essentially we're all the same thing. In my opinion, we're all obsessed too much with what we look like and what we wear, where we live, what we drive, all this fluff that's on the outside that doesn't really matter. What matters to me is being with my loved ones, and you know, and my X-rays, because it strips away the surface and shows things for how they are from the inside out. It's a metaphor for, to me, what's important in life.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so thank you for the interview and wish us success.
Thank you very much, Elsa. Thank you.